The moment that I don't, I go, oh, you don't need this, I'll just use my voice. Somebody goes, oh, you need it for the online thing. So we'll start with that. I'd like to read you reading from John chapter 2. On the third day, a wedding took place at Cana in Galilee. Jesus' mother was there, and Jesus and his disciples had also been invited to the wedding. When the wine was gone, Jesus' mother said to him, "They have no more wine." That's a disaster. "Woman, why do you involve me?" Jesus replied. "My hour has not yet come." His mother said to the servants, "Do whatever he tells you." Nearby stood 6 stone water jars, the kind used by the Jews for ceremonial washing, each holding from 20 to 30 gallons. That's a lot of wine. Yeah. I don't get invited to weddings like that. Jesus said to the servants, "Fill the jars with water." So they filled them to the brim. Then he told them, "Now draw out some and take it to the master of the banquet." They did so, and the master of the banquet tasted the water that had been turned into wine. He did not realize where it had come from, though the servants who had drawn the water knew. Then he called the bridegroom aside and said, "Everyone brings out the choice wine first, and then the cheaper wine after the guests have had too much to drink. But you have saved the best till now." What Jesus did here in Cana of Galilee was the first of the signs through which he revealed his glory, and his disciples believed him. The movie Stargate starts in about 1920 something, 1926, and it's in Egypt. And there's these archaeologists are digging up this stuff, and there's dust and dirt, and a lot of activity and tables with all the artifacts that they've found. And a little girl is there, and she's given a little necklace off one of these tables with an image on it. And then they find this big round thing, and it's like, wow. Now, I'm a bit of a science fiction tragic. And there's a whole other story to be told about that relationship and science fiction. I'm a bit of a science fiction tragic, and I'm watching this and I'm thinking, where are the lightsabers? Where are the spacecraft? Where are the aliens in all of this? I didn't think that I'd come to watch a documentary on ancient Egypt. But there's this story right at the beginning of the movie. And as the movie proceeds, the things that we had seen in that first few minutes take on more and more meaning. And the little girl is Catherine Langford, who ends up being important in the story later on as a scientist and an archaeologist herself. And the little thing that she finds, that becomes really important in the story. I'm not going to ruin it for you, but that unfolds right across the galaxy, these things that we'd seen in this little vignette. And this story is placed right there at the beginning of the movie. The story of turning water into wine is placed right close to the beginning of the Gospel of John. It's a peculiar little story. It is dense as the more one reflects on what's inside this story, the more rich and amazing it becomes. And we obviously don't have time today to unpack all of the amazingness of this story. But it's a bit curious in lots of ways. It seems an odd thing to do, and it marks the beginning of Jesus' public ministry in the Gospel of John. No one gets healed. They will get drunk, but no one gets healed. No demons are cast out. No one's raised from the dead, but the wedding was a success. Curious story to put right at the start of the gospel. Like, what's happened up until now is this very weighty theological statement. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And then there's some stories about the calling of the disciples who then show up in the wedding. Curious that it would be right at the start. The more I reflect on this, the more I am absolutely convinced that that story was chosen and placed right there at the beginning of John because it's a picture, a metaphor if you like, of everything else that's going to happen for the rest of that book. And like the little pendant in Stargate, the things that you learn out of that story are unfolded and described and brought into fulfillment as the story rolls forward. Fascinating way, a really creative way for the writer of John to begin the story by telling the whole story before it even starts. So what I want to do is just pull out a few of the things that I think that this story is telling us about the whole gospel narrative that lies before us if we were to go on a journey and read our way right through the book of John. The first thing that I notice is that it is in the context of joy and celebration. Weddings were big deals. They could be huge. There could be a lot of people, and they could go on for a very long period of time. And the joy and the celebration that surrounded weddings was really important. And the joy and the wonder of that occasion was at risk right there and then. Jesus' mother notices they're running out of supplies. We don't know what we know what we need. We don't have what we need for this to be the success that we want it to be. And this will be really embarrassing for the community. It'll be really embarrassing for the family. And the story is brought to us in the context of this joyful, fun life. Life is difficult. But as followers of Christ, we have the opportunity and we have open to us the possibility of experiencing life that is full and abundant, even in times of difficulty. Offered to us is this sense of peace and presence and place and being held by the arms of God, even in the most difficult of times. And this story is about abundance. It's about being filled. It's about completeness as human beings. The story is setting up the expectation. Something new is happening here. Something we've not experienced before. This was a culture that, as we know, was highly religious. Not much happened in their world that didn't have some kind of connection to what they believed and to their religious ceremony and rites and rituals and existence. But something new is happening here. Something of the life and the joy and the wonder of the kingdom of God is happening right here. And it's about to unfold as you read through this narrative. It's a story from scarcity to abundance. The scarcity is obvious. Jesus' mum says, they've run out of wine. We don't have enough. And there are these 6 stone jars holding gallons and gallons, or possibly to hold gallons and gallons. Jesus gets them filled with water. There is more wine than they need. I'm certain about that. And from scarcity, Jesus brings about abundance. From emptiness, Jesus brings about fullness. And interestingly, these stone jars, They were used for ritual cleaning. They were supposed to have water in them that you could wash your hands and your feet with. And Jesus says, well, no, we're not going to use them for that. We're going to fill them with wine. And so from the scarcity of the moment, the old rituals and the empty jars are going to be filled with something new. From scarcity to abundance. And it causes me to wonder, when we have times when we feel like we're completely drained and we're completely empty, when we're really struggling with the trials of life and we feel like we can't go on, we don't have enough, is that the moment to reconnect our hearts and our souls and our minds with Jesus, and to remind ourselves that we are held in the arms of a God for whom there is no scarcity, for whom there is abundance for us. And this story certainly illustrates that really, really clearly for us. And you have saved the best till now. This is the response of the MC on the night, the person who was running affairs. He's just blown away. Not just that there's wine that he thought he was in trouble because he hadn't organised himself well enough. It was probably harder than organising Sala, just by the way, but there you go. He hadn't organised it well enough. There was insufficient wine, and then what comes out at the touch of Jesus' ministry? You've saved the best till now. In the culture in which they lived, they were tied up with lots of rules and regulations and laws about how you live your life and what you have to do when things go wrong and all kinds of things. My understanding of the religious mantle that was put on people's shoulders, it was heavy, it was weighty, it was hard, and it was underpinned by a sense of you're not enough. You're not enough. You're not good enough. And you need this in order to fix you so that you can be in relationship with God. And the sense of you've saved the best till now, Jesus came with a message to say, no, you're not enough. But that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. I'm not going to judge you on whether you are good enough or not. God is not going to judge us on the basis of whether we are good enough or not. He's going to judge us on the basis of whether Jesus was sufficient. Save the best till now. Something new is happening. I think one of the most terrible things that can happen in a person's mind and heart is a sense of, I'm not worthy of being loved, is a sense of, I am not good enough. Recently I was having a conversation with a family member who is on the journey of finding out what life and God is about. And this person was saying, well, I believe that if I do the best I can and try and live a good life, then that'll be good enough for God, surely. And I kept my mouth shut, but I really wanted to say, I can understand that that's what you believe, but it's not what the Bible tells us. You can't live a life that's good enough to make you good before God. You can't do enough good stuff to make you good before God. You're not good enough. I'm not good enough. But praise God, we don't live standing on the foundation of our own goodness. We live standing on the foundation of the grace and sacrifice and ministry of Jesus, who comes to us and says, no matter who you are, no matter what you've done, if you put your faith in me, then I will give you life. And we use lots of metaphors to describe how that works. I mean, it's all about the cross. That something happened at the cross that changed the relationship between God and ourselves forever, and God had kept the best until then. And we live in that fantastic truth with that amazing grace. And so the story leaves us with this invitation. It's as if Jesus is saying to us, bring me what you have. Bring me what you have and let me fill it. Let me change it. Let me surprise you. Let me fill you with life.